There we go. Hello, hello. Welcome to Leap Taken. I'm Mika. Here at Leap Taken, I talk all things witchy, craft related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. Welcome to the channel. Today's topic, we're talking all about winter planning and how it we'll get into it, but I have my notes here. So I'm going to do things a little differently before I get into the topic. I don't think anybody's here yet. I don't know. I'm using a different system right now. But anyway, I'm going to be making some changes here at Leap Taken. So a lot of more thought provoking conversations, a lot more on topic, on trend topics as it relates to witchcraft, as it relates to spirituality and everything else, a lot of overlap with current events. Um, as long as I find that it's relevant to talk about, I will be talking about it here. So these are some of the goals that I have set for 2026 for the channel. Also, my members, they are getting, I just started it with the Witches New Year, but they've been getting tangible items. So I have digital downloads that they can use, a printable, so to speak, um, to match the theme for the month and what we're talking about. So that's happening there. So if you wanted to join, this is a perfect time because I've already sort of gotten the kinks out. I've already set this up. So it's good. So you can build up your book of shadows, your magical journals, your record keeping. You'll be able to do that. So that's really exciting. So hit that join button to join Leap Take membership. So there's a lot more candid conversations to come. There have been, but there's even more. So more magic, actual magic, um, spells, rituals, and things like that. Some talking, but doing and talking through happens over there, as well as something I'm referring to, basically like a digital diary, where it's just me leaving these short sort of messages at the end of the month, reflecting on the month and the theme that was chosen for that month. So there's real magic taking place. So if you are in desire of that, you can hit the join button and join the membership here. It's essentially Patreon here on YouTube, and it's very doable. And we're talking about like the price, actually less than the price of a cup of a latte at this point. It costs less a month to do that to get what you need than not. And my goal for 2026 is for it to become even more interactive. But that's let's get into the planning. Let's get into this conversation. So I have my notes. I have my highlighted notes here so I don't go completely off the rails with this topic, because believe it or not, I feel very strongly. Well, you'll know why in a minute, but I want to talk about planning. um, Planning from a place of rest is different from planning from a place of fear. So online messaging, I notice online, I'm seeing all kinds of people. I think the one that got me was Amanda Seals, and I, struggle with following her. She's right on a lot of things, but other times, she's insufferable. I love Amanda. I love her, but I wish she would protect herself more. I wish she was used her discernment more for herself. But she's an intelligent woman, so I'm not going to take that from her. And she almost all the time is right about what she's talking about. I think the thing is just like the delivery is crazy. And yes, sometimes it matters on how it's being delivered. I'm rambling about Amanda Sills. She's disappointed me and made me proud all at the same time. Am I the only one having this kind of parasocial relationship with Amanda Sills? Like, no shade to that woman, but it's like she infuriates me, and it's like family. Anyway, so one of the things I noticed is people are saying don't plan in this, that you're supposed to plan in the spring. This is the colonizer spirit. This goes against indigenous cultures. And, why are we planning? Why are you setting these plans and goal setting and getting, buying planners and calendars and all this sort of stuff as far as setting your goals and doing all that sort of stuff? Um, I want to say this. This is not a productivity talk. We're not talking about being productive. I am definitely not supporting hustle culture. I don't have the energy for it, so I'm not going to promote that. This is about discernment, though. We are talking about discernment. So the reality is of this also in planning is sort of the same as capitalism, or is definitely supporting it, or being productive is being capitalistic, or subscribing to that. Honestly, when you're born here, you're already a card carrying member with your social security number of capitalism. So that's another conversation. But anyway, the reality is planning to me does not equal exploitation, which is kind of what is being said. And structure does not mean harm. That's the reality. So we're reacting to burnout, but not redefining tools. We're reacting to the burnout, but not redefining tools. So we can use the tools that we have and redefine them. And that's sort of what I want to get into right now. So what is the winter for? I think it's, and I've talked about this over the years on this channel, it's a good time to I used to say before, it's a perfect time to take stock. Let's take stock at what's going on. You've harvested. We're just going to put it in terms of that, metaphorically, or maybe physically. What have, the summer, there was a lot of free time, maybe in come autumn, you had to, get into action and do some, be very active. And then you get to winter and all you hear is rest, rest, rest. But within that rest, it's a time for review. It's a time for memory. It's not a coincidence that the best holidays, as people sometimes say, happen in those winter months, or when it gets chilly outside, it kicks off with like Halloween. And then of course, the granddaddy of them all, Christmas, for a lot of people. And Christmas, a lot of Christmas has to do with memories for a lot of adults. The Christmas magic that you hear a lot of young adults talk about today, which we all know, it's your mom. Your mom made the Christmas magic. The women in the family did it. Your mom, your grandmom, your aunties. It was them. Even probably your big sister. It was always them. They're the Christmas magic. That's another conversation. Anyway, the other thing, winter is a good time to work on pattern recognition in that rest. You're not doing this to the point of exhaustion. And we're so exploited in this society. When I start talking about actually not productivity, when I start talking about any capacity that sounds like work, thinking, I notice some people kind of like immediately flex about that. Also, I think winter is a time for honest discussions, honesty. It's a time to sort of let's have those scary conversations. Let's talk about the things that kind of clear the room. let's have those conversations. We're cozy, we're comfortable, we're calm. Let's talk about it. Where are you gonna go? It's cold outside. Let's talk about it. To me, I will say, I don't think winter is the perfect time for execution in most cases. I don't think it's a good time to focus on timelines as much. And also, obviously, it's not a good time for pressure. We're not trying to, cook ourselves, pressurize ourselves right now with this in this season. I think winter can orient us. It doesn't necessarily mobilize us. It kind of, to me, winter is a time for stillness, but within stillness, you can plan. So, which goes into my next conversation, which is about capitalism and conscious planning. So let me get into that because I was about to go on a full tangent just now, real quick. But capitalism, I think it, and this is something I had to contend with, worth equals output. So that's the capitalism way. There's never real rest. In the machine that is capitalism, there's no breaks. There's not even a shutdown for maintenance. That's why the thing is, running off the rails, because there's no check-in. It's just greed, 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 greed until greed. um, and which the other thing is, capitalism represents constant growth. When we see with these corporations, where the model is every year has to be better than the previous year, there has to be constant growth. If you did not make whatever the projections were, which are ridiculous, double the amount the previous year or whatever it is, then you're not necessarily a success, and people get laid off. So this affects us all. We will lose jobs because the projections weren't met, and who's making the projections off the base of what, and just ignore what's happening in the world. Get that money. Greed, greed, greed. But I believe conscious planning is fewer intentions. Hear me out. Fewer intentions. Cycles are respected, and rest is also protected. So planning, I feel like, is actually neutral. Exploitation is the problem. So when we're talking about the winner, hi gemstones, when we're talking about as witches now, I'm going to make this more specifically about spiritualist occultist practitioners of sorts. When we're talking about setting our goals, what do we want to see in our practice? If you didn't do the Witch's New Year, what do you want to see? Where do you want your practice to go? And you're sort of naturally coming to these thoughts. That's not unnatural to be thinking about these things. It's not unnatural to think about what do you want to do this summer, to think in terms of, are you wanting to take any trips? How do you want this year to be for you? How do you want it to start? How do you want it to end? I think these are very benign, neutral ways of starting the calendar year, and also sitting in the winter months. Because if you are resting, let's talk about it. If you are in a place of rest, mind wise, and you're just doing your regular life, and hopefully nothing too much more outside of, the dumpster fire that is the political system everywhere. But I digress. As calm as you can get your brain to be, your mind to be, your spirit to be at this time, in this moment, especially for those who do speak about this isn't the time for planning, this isn't the time for goal setting. Hear me out. When you are in a space of rest, you can plan, you can think, you can dream, you can breathe, you can dream. When you are struggling, when you are fighting for your life to survive, when you are in a constant rat race, it is very difficult to dream. That's part of the whole veil of capitalism, is that they want us to always be that way. So they put a veil of entertainment, foolishness in front of us, consumerism, all the freaking isms. There's a constant veil that we're always seeing through, so we can't really see it for what it really is. What is it about? A witch's dozen of the very rich hoarding money, which at this point is just numbers on a screen. They don't physically have the money in a room with them. Or maybe they do. I don't know. I don't know what gets people off nowadays. But most of them, it's, all in banks and spread out. And everything's not liquid. But the very richest, the witch's dozen or so, and they're, we can't see through the veil. They're them sitting there, chilling and existing off of our labor, off of our consumerism, off of our ignorance. So the point is to keep us ignorant, keep us always buying, and keep that veil foggy. Keep it there. So if it thins a little bit, which through some social media apps it did start to thin a little bit. Shout out to TikTok for that one, prior to the government stepping in. But we did see the veil started getting a little bit more clearer, and we started seeing through to the other side. And they didn't like that. And now TikTok, they made that man sell to an American company, or, the data center or whatever they're doing, servers. The one thing you can do that you have control over is your planning, at least for now, because I know they're developing chips to put in our brains. So for now, you can plan, you can dream, you can hope, you can set goals and desires and think about manifesting. I'm just asking you to think about it. In this conversation, I think people forget that part. Within a time of rest, when you're not running, think about it. For most of us, the only time, especially if you live a very busy lifestyle, if you're a caretaker, you're working a full-time job, you also are taking care of children and like a caretaker of an adult parent or something like that, an elderly person. You're working more than one job. You have a creative project that you're working on that you'd like to turn into something so it would minimize all the other jobs. But in the meantime, you're doing all these things. You may have a partner. You may have commitments. You're spiritual, so you might have a commitment to other people. The point is you're running. If you get a moment to rest, and just be. I'm not sleep. Yes, you slept, but just have days of stillness, which some people got to experience on that Christmas break, and you had just a taste of that. Okay, so yeah, sometimes it's good to just do nothing. I'm an advocate for that. And within that also time, after a couple days, once you feel like, oh, I've done a good amount of nothing, I might want to do something. That's when you can get into sort of the planning mode. That's where you don't, it's not a physical thing. Well, it is, but it's your mind working. I just don't understand why there's resistance to that other than misinformation. I feel like witchcraft is becoming more mainstream. And I don't know if anybody has noticed that because it's becoming more mainstream, there's a lot more misinformation. I am going to tangent. Like the conversation on the term witch, warlock, because we got new people coming into understanding, they don't know what to call male witches. Now I would tell you, just call them male witches. Just call them a witch. Call them what they asked to be called. If they're asked to be called a warlock through through I'd educate you first. I mean, I'm not gonna, be condescending to you, but if you are a male and you're telling me to call you a warlock, I said, let's talk. Tell me how you arrived at that. Do you like it, or do you think that's what it's supposed to be? Anyway, that's another conversation. But they're just witches. They're just male witches. They're occultists. They're spiritualists. They're whatever. The warlock thing, come on, y'all. Anyway, and people are dead serious saying it. I'm not making this up. Okay. Back to ancestral context. So I want to talk about indigenous traditions because I've been paying attention and I've been hearing about, indigenous peoples do not, didn't subscribe to this calendar, this Gregorian calendar. And it's like, I can't be beefing with the calendar right now. Like, y'all, we got bigger fish to fry. Like, I will circle back to this. Once once we successfully get rid of daylight saving times, we could start talking about the calendar. But for now, the whataboutism is a little out of control. So every indigenous tradition is not a monolith. We know that, right? So, but many cultures do plan. They did plan in the winter. They told stories and they prepared. Those stories were informational, by the way. And through those stories is how each generation knew how to continue. But anyway, but they prepared for survival. Yes, even in those winter months, whatever that looked like. People didn't just sit around and just do absolutely nothing every day in the winter. You had to plan. There were tasks, there were chores, there were things to do. Preparation is ancestral. That's what I want to talk about. Exploitation came later. I use this term a lot. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. This is the time to work on that. You do reflection. Think about your practice. Where's it been in this last year? Did you hardly do anything? Did you hardly focus on rituals at all? Are you saying, like, a lot of us will, I call myself a cottage witch. Did I actually do anything that resembles cottage witchery, as much as I claimed I wanted to do in 2025? Am I willing? Do I feel a desire to do it? Or am I just sticking to something because I said that's what I was? I find in what I do, that is an issue for a lot of people where they say they wanted to be a lunar witch, or they've been following astrology, or insert whatever it is, and that was their thing, and they felt very strongly connected. They may have had a guide sent to them to work with them. They may feel like an ancestor is leading them, and they actually have proof to this, and enough to put a fire under them to start the journey. And somewhere along the way they kind of stepped off of the path a little bit of that discovery, and kind of just let it go to the wayside. And now it's a new year, calendar year. And is it so bad to want to reflect on that practice, not to beat yourself up? And yes, to give yourself grace, but also to see, well, hey, maybe I exhausted the subject. Maybe I got what I needed out of it. And, in the beginning, and I don't need to continue this journey in 2026. Maybe it's for me to just kind of just be still and just go into it and see what else arrives. Or maybe I'm being called to something else. But if you're not taking the time to reflect in these winter months, which is part of planning, reflection leads to the planning and the goals and the manifestation work. You need to reflect. Where are you with things? Ask the questions. That's all this time is, just to take stock, to take actual stock. Where do you feel? How are you feeling? How do you want to move forward? That's what I'm suggesting. We can't throw the baby out with bathwater, so to speak. Like, it's okay to plan a little bit. Okay. So I want to talk about why I plan in the winter, why I personally do it. And I've been kind of giving it away, but so my spring isn't chaotic. If I truly take the path that I'm hearing people talk about, who up until this last year, I don't think ever talked about things like this before, but it's information that they received, and they've connected to it. About when to plan and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, the other reason is so energy isn't wasted. So in my rest period, I'm alive. So I plan now and do later. If you take nothing from this, I'm planning now and I'm doing later. That's kind of what I'm suggesting. And so that my rest has a direction, because to me, I don't want to just, what the kids say, bed rot. I don't want to just scroll it mindlessly. I don't want to be mindless, at least not all day. Yeah, sometimes, we all need to check out. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to be like that the entire time. And my planning looks like reviewing, and which I've kind of been giving away here, a lot of reviewing. I look at my personal predictions. I look at my intuitive card readings that I did for myself this time last year. I like to do comparisons. I do pull cards for 13 cards, but 12 cards for each month. And then like an overall card, usually an oracle card. That's my spread for the year for myself. I've been doing this for years. At this point, it's probably been a decade or more. Shoot, it has been more. Why do I keep thinking? See, when I think 10 years ago, I'm not thinking real 10 years ago. Time works different in my mind. They tell me that's the ADHD. I just say no because it's just moving too fast. But anyway, but yeah, that is, I like my rest to have a sense of direction. Reviewing is part of that process. So like, I like to look over things. I like to think about and take account. I like also, here's something, and I kind of alluded to it, letting things die. Everything doesn't need to continue. Some things need to be put to rest permanently, and that is okay. That has been a hard thing for me to come to, believe it or not, because I like to hold on to things, and I'm loyal, but I realize not just to people, but to things sometimes as well. Projects that I started, and it'll collect dust, and I swear I'm coming back to it, and I'm not. The thrill is gone. Whatever it was that led me there, either I got what I needed to get out of it, or I'm not, it's not happening. I didn't like it. It didn't hold my attention, and that's okay. I think about all those things. That's what my planning looks like. So that's kind of important. So if I am really into crystals and I was planning a trip to Sedona, um, and I wanted to go out there, and one of the things I couldn't wait to do was visit some of the stores there to buy crystals. Side note, if I was really getting a bunch of crystals, I would not drive to Sedona to get them because they're overpriced at those stores. With you want to talk about capitalism, you want to talk about colonialism, take a trip to Sedona. The land is beautiful and it resonated with me. The people make me sick. Anyway, the rich ones. Anyway, choose it. Well, they won't let you be there if you're poor. But anyway, the other thing is my planning looks like choosing what not to carry forward. So one of the things I realized is like my tracking and all that sort of stuff, like tracking like magical things. I need to give myself that space because honestly I'm tracking so many other things. I have a whole book over here. I just had a doctor's appointment, a virtual appointment this morning, and I just keep my blood pressure in this book. I swear to y'all, like meticulously been keeping my blood pressure like for years now, y'all. Like I'm dead serious. I have a whole monitor and there's pages. Like I already keep track of things I don't. And I do that because I want to not have high blood pressure. So if I track it, I know what's happening. I know that taking off for meditation, yoga, and working out does lead to high blood pressure. I know that because I don't know what I want to eat and I just eat whatever, and that food has a lot of sodium, leads to high blood pressure. I realize that if I go too long without ritual, if I go too long without connection with spirit, and I'm just kind of raw dogging life a little bit out here, that also leads to stress, which leads to high blood pressure. So that's why I track. Anyway, but you get what I'm saying. Like I'm not somebody who needs to be tracking a bunch of other stuff. I already got stuff to track. Too much. I'm not going to be able to follow suit with this. So stuff like that's like something I'm not carrying forward. Just very mundane, practical thing I'm talking about as far as my planning. But I need to be thinking about these things. You know what I mean? I plan in the winter because I respect spring. I'm a witch who goes by a seasonal witch. The wheel of the year, I would say that, but seasonal. I live in a place in a desert, so it is chilly here. It's cold to me right now. I'm actually wishing I put socks on because I'm cold and I know it's only like 60 something degrees. That's chilly to me. My hands are cold. It's cold. My extremities are cold. And I'm in the warmest room in the house and I'm freezing right now. But anyway, and I won't turn on the heat because I got PTSD about if you grew up in a place. I grew up in the Northeast in an environment where we did not control, in public housing, you don't control your heat. If you know what that's like, it is very difficult for me to turn the heat on because I am fearful of being hot and unable to cool down. It's a thing. My daughter watches me, who does not know this life. She's never experienced this sort of life. She's always lived relatively a comfortable life in a nice big suburban house in her childhood. So yeah, looking at me act like this, she's like, girl, what is your problem? I will keep a cold house just out of that. So I know why old people do the things they do now. It's the PTSD. But I need to plan on fixing that too. Anyway, I want to talk about the pattern I'm seeing. So like no planning, to me, you end up confused in the spring. I've tried it, by the way. So you're talking to somebody who, like, this is not my first day here. I know what it's like to hear these things about, oh, well, you should focus on the spring, and that's when you're most active. And I'm a spring baby. I was born in the spring, March 30th. So of course, I kind of jumped into this. No, if you think it's a good time to start the planning process, I mean, you can do whatever you want, but let's all just do a little experiment. the people who are the loudest on social media right now about this topic, let's see on March 21st how they're doing. Let's check back in. We're not wishing ill on people, but sometimes you gotta let people play it out. Um, Same cycles repeating, scrambling instead of growing is what it will, at least for me, that's what it looked like in the end, unfortunately. Yeah. If you're like, I mean, I'm just thinking for like someone who's a farmer, if I'm keeping, or just, you're keeping your land, tending your land, like, wouldn't you need to plan your crops and what you're going to do as spring approaches? Wouldn't you want to be thinking about these things? That's how I feel metaphorically about, my life. I want to think about the seeds that I want to plant. Can we think? Are we not allowed to think about it? That's not colonialism. That's me using my mind. I digress. So let's reframe here. Winter planning. So winter planning is about questions, not checklists. And I've sort of been giving you that, asking your questions, not necessarily creating a checklist of things to do. Visions, not deadlines. Think of your vision. What do you envision? What do you want to? What is your vision? These are the things to start asking yourself. In alignment, we're trying to be in alignment and not have a sense of urgency. And if you're doing all that, then I get it. But no, alignment, urgency. This is something that comes with age. Honestly, I've gotten a lot better with my patience. It used to be really bad. I've gotten better. Used to be. My entire life has been bad. But as with age is coming a certain wisdom and a reality that I'm not going to be able to do all the things all the time right now. I never have been, but I strive. But I'm more concerned with being in alignment with my intentions more than anything. And how that looks with time, that's really not my concern. My concern is alignment. And I'm dead serious about that. It's alignment. So these are the things you might ask, what I ask myself. What am I done proving? We're talking planning here. So what are you done proving? Not to yourself, not to anybody, in general. What are you done proving? We all get to a point. What deserves my energy? So I just showed you my little journal here that I keep all my time, date, blood pressure readings in here, and pulse and all that sort of stuff. I keep all that in here. This was something that deserved my energy. And I had to figure it away. I mean, I don't, I'm getting up there in the age. I don't want to be one of those people who suffers from a stroke that was preventable because of my lifestyle. No, I don't want that. Gasp. And also, what am I protecting? So what I realized, one of the things, and I'm vulnerable moment here, one of the things that I've been protecting is my time. Because I've been working with being in alignment and not a sense of urgency, because I'm not punishing myself for not getting everything done that a ridiculous to-do list that I create for myself. No one is pressuring me. This is all internal, or had been internal. But what I am protecting is my time. See, I've already gained peace. So the other thing is time. I protect my time. I don't waste my time with people who are committed to misunderstanding me. I don't waste my time, which to me, time is my energy, on mindless scrolling, click rage bait, you know what I mean? Just this ridiculous news cycle that we're in. Anyway, the current events, the things that are happening in the world. I only give it so much of my time. I'm aware. I am plugged in enough to be aware. And probably a little more so, but that's enough. I won't give it more of my time. So that's something I'm protecting. So that means, well, what are you doing with your time outside of just, staring off into the the abyss in my mind. I like crafting. I like doing paper crafts. I like creating content. I love listening to music. It drives me. I love making things. I like creating versus always consuming. Okay. So that's something. So that means I'm going to plan out the things that fit that. You see how I'm kind of, but it starts with the questions. It doesn't start with the checklist. You got to get to your whys. And I know, everybody want to do that. And it's not to beat yourself up with, it's not to find, oh, my partner's the reason, or my mom's the reason, or it's my kids. No, just stop. You let things happen to you. It's not these people. It's just answering a question for yourself without blame. Okay. So, rest without reflection is sleep. I wrote this down. Reflection without action is fantasy, and witchcraft lives in the relationship between the two. I truly believe that. I found that someplace. Don't ask me where I found it. Those are not my exact words, but I wrote it down because I loved it so much and I thought it fit. Rest without reflection is sleep. Reflection without action is fantasy, and witchcraft lives in the relationship between the two. So that concludes the conversation about planning, as far as my notes were. And now we're going to get into the other part of this where I couldn't wait to show you. So I purchased a couple gifts for myself over the holiday. And by the way, Happy New Year, happy holidays to everybody. I'm back. I'm back on the scene. Welcome. I'm happy to be here. I feel recharged, by the way, because if you notice, I took a little break. But I was on TikTok over the holidays, and I saw this beautiful woman, and she was showing all these different drinks that she was making, and it's in her book, Herbal Cocktails, Plant-Based Sips for Mood, Energy, and Wellness. And this is perfect for me because I've been talking about like mocktails and things like that. She is a Black woman, and I do like to support where I can to Black authors and Black creatives. So here's the back, and I had been seeing her run her ads on, or just her TikToks, and I was intrigued, and then I finally just purchased it. Like, it was, I forgot what it was, but if you're interested, it's BeDivineMinded.com. That's the website if you're interested in more. But experience the delightful world of herbal mocktails with this collection of refreshing non-alcoholic drinks crafted from nature. Each mocktail blends vibrant fruit, herbs, and botanicals, offering a nourishing way to lift your mood, energize your body, and support overall wellness. So this kind of fits into my goals and my plans as well. And so when I saw this, I said, yes, I'm definitely getting it, and I got it, and I'm happy, and I can't wait. But she sent this, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. I thought I was just getting a book. I cannot wait to make this berry vitality elixir. Like, that looks good. That looks like that's going to taste good. And she doesn't give you a bunch of things you can't access. But here's the surprise that I didn't know I was getting. She sent herbs, which I did not know was coming in the bag. So she sent some lemon balm and butterfly pea flower, which I already have some, and they all both say organic, by the way. So you can make some drinks with this. So to get started, I already have some of her herbs. And this is about, I think it was like 20 something bucks or something like this for all of it. Anyway, I'm a fan. I like it, and I like supporting where I can, people like me, because I'm over there selling too. But yeah, this is actually something I'm really looking forward to making, this berry beet boost. So this is, beets are really good for stabilizing high blood pressure, if you didn't know. And she tells you, and also, supports blood building, skin tone, natural energy. And that's for women. And for men, she said boosts stamina, circulation, and heart health. It does that for women too, by the way, heart health. So it's good for that, consuming beets. I was taking some beet supplements for a while as well. But I like this one because you just need a cup of beet juice, some mixed berry juice, blueberry, strawberry, she said, apple cider vinegar, some cinnamon, and a sprig of rosemary, and you're off to the races. Like, I can do that. And I just bought a new blender, not because I wanted to, but because my very expensive multifunctional Ninja mixer, blender, all the smoothie maker, that thing almost caught on fire. So we had to put her out to pasture. I've only had her for about 5 years, so that's disheartening. But herbal mocktails, like, I am so excited to make these. So I just got this. I've only had it for like a couple days now. So I'm looking forward to making some things. I'll let you guys know from her recipes how things are. The other thing that I gifted myself that I was really, because I'm a fan of the Agatha Harkness, the Marvel series. Why am I struggling with this? Agatha, was it something all along? Oh, dang, I forgot the name. Y'all know what I'm talking about, the show on Disney. Anyway, so I have her, the Grimoire of Agatha Harkness. It's on Amazon. I know. I didn't need it. And this is what it looks like without the cover. But I wanted it really bad. Anyway, so this is what it looks like if you were curious. Yes, it's Marvel. And I did actually go through the book already because I had to. And it's more like comic book than anything. It's not like, the show per se is definitely more comic book. And I kind of like that more. That makes it more, I don't know, interesting to me. I love the, I don't know, advanced longevity. Like, look at this. Because we know. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so I'm really into this. This is adorable. I am, at minimum, a collector. At my worst, probably a hoarder. They do have a section for spells and incantations, by the way. At my best, I am a collector. And I do like collecting things like this. Like, I have the series Charmed, their Book of Shadows. Why is Siri activated? I didn't say anything. There we go. Anyway, but yeah, so this is something that I got. I just wanted to share it with you guys. And going forward, any like book reviews or new products, witchy review essentially, I'll just be doing it all in one thing as opposed to separating it out. And I'll just be on here as long as I want talking. I decided that's another thing because we're in alignment. We're not worried about time. So I don't care so much about that at this stage. So I'll keep talking if I want to. If I keep going and I want to talk about a bunch of stuff, if I'm doing a haul, then I'll do it all on Wednesdays. So that is something that's going to be different here. These are one of the changes that I was getting to earlier. We will be meeting together once a week on Wednesdays going forward. I won't be on here on Fridays. And also, I will be, finally, I've been filming content, so that'll be up. My posting for my other channel is going to be on Saturdays. I think that just makes sense. Especially for the vibe of the channel, I like Saturdays. So you'll see content posting there on Saturdays. Now, if you are already a member here at YouTube, I will be continuing with the system that I introduced in October. So there you get your member only exclusive video, and that's where I'm doing something. You get the accompanied, whatever I was doing, you get the downloadable printout, which is available at leaptaken.com. And if you just want to get that printout, if you want to just start adding to your grimoire, then, you can just pay the fee. It's like $5 over at my website, leaptaken.com. That is the price that the members are paying to be a member. So if you just pay that once, then you'll have them ongoing. So just pay it once. It's fine. But yeah, that's the exclusive stuff. Also, I like I said, more candid over there. A little bit more in my videos, more candid. Anywho, but I will be back because I will be talking next Wednesday. I've been reading a book on my break, and I was reading it with my coven, and I'm looking forward to having that discussion with you guys about this book because it is deep. So It's a memoir. I don't know. I think I've only discussed one memoir. It is a witch, by the way. But we're going to be discussing her book, so I will talk about that. And the book is a few years old now. I think it's like a couple of years old. But I hadn't heard of it until last year. So I will be talking about that next Wednesday. I'm very much looking forward to it, along with other topics as well. So yeah, I'm happy to be back. If you're interested in purchasing the Book of Shadows that I offer, the Book of Shadows for the Love Witch, the Book of Shadows for the Hearth Witch, and of course the Hoodoo Grimoire, as well as the Witchy Activity book, they are available at my website, leadtaken.com. You can also go to Amazon and purchase those things if you prefer, or you can actually purchase them through the TikTok shop. Um, you know, I am very excited about 2026 and kind of re-energizing myself, which I am the channel. And this year, I don't, yeah, I'm going to be bringing people on, so I'm excited about that. Um, very excited about that. So I'm working on the final bits as far as like questions and things like that. But yeah, I will be bringing on some other people on the channel as well. And I am potentially about to go into the podcast world myself, but that's another conversation for another day. We'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that later. But I appreciate you all for being here and sticking with me this far and being on the channel. And I hope that this conversation about winter planning resonated with you. I hope that you know, if you thought, that's right, why are we planning things in the winter? We should be resting. Well, within a rest, you plan. That's the answer. Within a rest, you plan. And then the spring, you go. You activate. That's where the action, when it gets nicer out. Actually, it's usually before spring. When it starts getting nice, that's when you can start planting the seeds. There are certain days you want to plant. So that's kind of how you want to take your goals. So this is the time to rest, to be still with your thoughts, review. This is not something that needs to be rushed, and this is not something that should exhaust you. If it is exhausting you, it's probably the first time you've ever done it. Or it's been a very long time since you sat and was quiet with your thoughts. Then yeah, it might exhaust you. And that's okay. You just do enough for that day and you let it go, and you revisit it at a later point in the season. All right, so thanks again. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their week. You can't control everything. I do feel like there's just a fire going on around me, and I'm just getting dressed every day and putting on makeup and living my life, and I hear the screams. So I'm speaking metaphorically and technically, literally. How I deal with that, I wouldn't say combat it because it's not a thing you combat, is I actively try to be the change. Literally, I try to walk my talk. I try to be authentic, and I try to help when possible, when it's possible for me. I try to pull somebody out of, the fire as often as I can. And in my way of doing that is to introduce witchcraft, because it has been empowering for me. It has changed my life. It has rewired my brain. I used to have a fear of death, which is ridiculous because it's inevitable. But the thought of it would send me into a panic attack. People who really know me understood that, know that about me. Like when I was younger, as a woman now, I would have a panic attack thinking about death. And there's a host of other things, anxiety, all sorts of things. Witchcraft helped me so much growing into womanhood, becoming the woman that I am. It saved my mind, which inevitably saved me. So for some people, if there's room, if there's an opportunity, I'm going to try to bring you in the folds of that. Not the way I do things. I'm not trying to make anybody convert. It's a state of mind. That's all I'm saying. To me, witchcraft is more of a state of mind than anything at this point of my life. And I just want to introduce that to people who are receptive to that. because it can change your entire life. It changes my outlook. And I will just kind of go on with this little tidbit is more. So look at it like this. For years, I wanted to do money spells. My phone's ringing. For years, I wanted to do money spells to bring in a certain amount of money. I remember, I want to say this is probably like in 2008, 7, 8, 2009. Oh, I got it wrong. It's like 2009. And I remember doing a vision board. And I'm a practitioner at this point. And I'm doing a vision board. God, I'm older than I think I am. And I've been doing this for longer than I think I have. But anyway, I was a practicing witch at this point. And in secret. But yes, I was a practitioner. And I remember putting on that board, maybe 2009. I was like, I want $100,000. I want our household income to be because that was a magic number, $100,000. So we were close to it, and I can give real numbers. I think we were bringing in. Well, I was a stay-at-home wife, so I didn't bring that money in at the time, but because I wasn't working at that point. But my husband was bringing in just under, but it was like important. Like even with a bonus, he was like right under it, but not at 100,000. And that was like this big number. So he was making like 80 something grand at that point. And I was like, oh, I just felt like this number. And I remember having this conversation with a good friend of mine at the time. And I will tell you, she's a white woman. And she was like, not knowing I did this vision board because she didn't see it and I didn't talk about it. But we just casually were talking and one thing led to another. And she was just like, like there are people like think $100,000 a year is a lot of money. But like when you break it down after taxes and the more she was talking, I was like, huh. Do you know we did bring in $100,000 a year, and everything that woman had told me was actually very true. That's your gross, but that's not what you're bringing home. And you're right, we still needed more to live. It felt like there was still more that was needed. I mean, we're a family of 4, So anyway, for how we wanted to live, I know everybody's different and where we lived, but I got the 100,000. We got the 100,000, but my goodness, it wasn't enough. And I remember that kind of that changed the way I thought about things. Cause it's like, stop focusing on what you think based on what everybody's saying and what you think, like stop thinking like that and maybe focus on the fact that are your needs, your desires and what you want, do you have those things? Focus on that. Let me make sure. Can y'all hear me okay? Oh God, I hope it's not doing that thing where the mic is on. Yeah, I see it. I'm tripping. Okay, last time I did the last video I did, it was no audio. I just look it down. But anyway, it taught me that. And then as a practitioner, through my own experiences and then working with other people, I started putting 2 and 2 together. Stop worrying about a number all the time and just just bring the attraction to whatever it is that you want and a way will be made. Stop worrying about having this number. If I had this much money, X amount of money, I would do this or I would do that. And the reality of it is, by the time when you get it, it might not be enough. So if you think, well, if I had $200,000, it depends on where you live and what your lifestyle is. So did you always thought, did you think it was just yourself in this scenario? Are there other people? Do they have expenses that's going to eat up all that money? Are you with a partner who likes to buy $1,000, truck, like stuff like that? Like you got to really think these things out. But because of my practice, because of the things that I do, I came to the realization that it's more about the resources. It's more about, because that's life, like in abundance. I just feel like things always go my way. Even if it looks like it's not, it just works out for me in the end. And that's my attitude. It works. Lucky girl. What they call it, the lucky girl way or something like that. Like seriously, I don't know, things just work out for me. You see how I'm matter of factly saying this? That's how you should do. That's your plan. I don't know. My plan is things always just kind of come together for me. They work out. I don't know. It just works out. Something happens, it's going to work out. That's me. It'll work out. It'll resolve itself. And guess what? It resolves itself. You won't be seeing too many more gray hairs pop up in here. I colored my hair, by the way. You won't be seeing too many. Well, you won't because I'm coloring it, but because I'm not letting the worry get to me. And that was something, and that's also a stress reliever. That's something I had to come to. But practicing witchcraft. See, I'm not the type of person, I'm not an affirmation girly. I'm not a woo-woo girly, to be honest with you. I'm a whole ass witch. I practice magic. I do spells of all varieties. I do rituals. I design rituals. I lead rituals. I'm a real witch. A actively practicing witch. I need more than just an affirmation. That's one of the tools, one of the things that I use to state to align myself with my intentions. But there has to be the whole spiritual system behind it for me, for it to take in my mind, in my practical thinking mind, in my ADHD mind, in my possibly autistic mind. Who's to say? Because I'm starting to wonder. It feels like I'm in a space of, it's the people who call themselves the normal ones and it's everybody else. And if that's what's normal, I don't want to be normal. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, hit the join button and join Leap Taken membership. Visit my website at leaptaken.com. Remember, Leap Taken is also on TikTok for now. We'll see where that goes. But we are still on there for now. So if you want to check me out, I plan on posting short form content. You'll see. Stay with me. I'm a woman of a certain age. I'm doing the best I can. We're staying in alignment. I'm not worrying about timelines. All right, bye.